So let's call this meeting to order. It looks like it's 14/11 or 2/11 on the 14th of July. And we do have, it's been established that we have a quorum. So we'll move on to line item 2, adoption of the agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
All right, and I'll second that. All right, so agenda adopted. All right, and we'll move on to line item 3, approval of the minutes. That's not applicable here. So we'll go ahead and push forward and move on to line item 4. Any discussion and action items? So 4A, if there are any questions or concerns about the review of the South Carolina Code of Laws, now's the time to kind of voice those. None heard. All right, so we'll push forward. Line item B, so 4B, a review of the common rules of the roads. Are there any concerns or questions regarding the rules of the roads?
I guess, Chairman, I'd like to ask staff, do we keep records of violations, individuals that do not follow the conduct policy?
Yes, we do. Normally what happens with individuals that don't, they are put on no trespass notice, so we keep a file of those individuals when we get those from security that's down at Comment Central. And sometimes we may have to get in a review process, even for reinstatement, but we do get the documentation from security on those individuals.
Does the policy, and one last question, forgive me, does the policy for rider conduct state anything about while you're waiting at Comet transit stops, transfer stations? Is that also a part of the conduct policy that we expect from our riders?
When they're just standing at that transit stop, just waiting, or not waiting, but just there at the transit stop?
Yeah, I guess that's my general question.
I don't know whether we have anything that address that specifically. Normally, if we see that or get a call, or whether it's an operator or someone like that, we will have security, or sometimes it's actually law enforcement that will go out and remove those individuals. And sometimes based on the stop, if it's reoccurring, what we will do is ask for security to sometimes actually stay at those stops for a period of time, or if we deem necessary, whether it's 30 days or 60 days until that is cleared up. Because sometimes we do get calls that there's just individuals that are constantly at those stops, so we tend to focus on them with security at that specific time and stop.
Okay. So you feel like staff's got a good handle on possible loitering versus actually active transit folks?
Yeah. Mr. Brennan, I know, since I've been more in the interim role, sometimes when you're going different places, whether it's in the evening, weekends, or whenever, if I'm in the area, I try to, ride by those stops, not only for myself, but also we ask our operators, if they see that, to report that in, and also, we hope to kind of stay in front of that, so it's not, for example, a business owner or just a citizen out there, that we're kind of trying to stay more in front of that. But we know we have certain areas that we do focus on. Sometimes it's a matter of, depending on the shelter, we get to the point where it's such an issue and a problem. We've had some where the actual bench had to be removed, or we make sure there's certain types that people, it just doesn't entice them to hang out unless they're waiting for transit. And, you know, for example, I know they're at transition and going on out North Main. We try to keep, you know, a good eye on those. And it seems like for the past couple of months, we've been doing a really good job there. And also, too, we try to work with situations like that, to work with, say, transitions and other people or businesses, if that's an issue, to just really clear it up and make it, you know, a safe, clean environment there at that shelter.
Great, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, all right, hearing none, we'll move on to line 4C, action item C. So the review of any present security contracts with rates. Are there any questions or concerns about this?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I have to go back to my original concern in the beginning of paying the city for law enforcement when we arrest across the street from the city police department. I thought that was a thing of paying each other out of the same tax pot.
Yes, sir. Is this Mr. Fergus?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
then-
Yes, sir, Mr.
And
Fergus.
at $42.50 per hour, we're paying the security more than we're paying employees. So we need to look at that. And maybe one way to look at it is hiring our own transit police. That's just a thought, you know.
Noted, Mr. Fergus. That I plan to address that, but absolutely noted.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Fergus. That 4250 is quite a clip. Staff, is that CPD officers that are off duty? This is kind of their off duty hourly rate?
Yes, yes. But that's, yeah, my understanding of those rates, yes.
Correct. All right, thank you.
Correct.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding this? Okay, so I would just like to chime in here while we're on the topic. Mr. Fergus made a good point here. My plan moving forward for future meetings, at least in the near future, is for us to absolutely address the financial aspect of it. I'm not an attorney, and getting deep down in the weeds of the contract is more of an attorney's lane, I'll say, for lack of better terms. However, Mr. Fergus hit the nail on the head, addressing we should be good stewards of the community's money. And by doing so, I think we need to look at, for future meetings, the impact of spending and how we're spending taxpayer dollars. And I do not believe that we need to pay the police to do a job that they're already paid for with taxpayer dollars to do. And so I definitely plan on looking at that in future meetings. Ms. Bino Reed, if you could, I know you are working on getting those figures, but whenever we can get those statistics and those dollar amounts, we would love to present that to the committee.
Okay, Chairman Lawson, the statistics that you're wanting or that you requested was the crime data from Richland County and City of Columbia. And we've made requests for those, and we're waiting for those to come in from those two municipalities. The dollar amounts are what we have in the packet. Was there any other financial information that you needed?
No, I don't think. No, ma'am. I think in order for us to make an informed decision, we will look at both of those kind of simultaneously if possible, so we can kind of compare and contrast because one doesn't make sense without the other. If the
Okay.
crime rate is increased drastically, then obviously security is more of a necessity. And so I would like to compare and contrast both of those kind of at the same time.
Okay, let me ask this. Would it be helpful if, I don't have this information right now, but by the next meeting, I'm sure we can look for it. Would it be helpful to have the information of incidents that have happened along our system?
Absolutely. And I understand it's not going to happen today. That's why I said for future meetings in the near future, that's the direction that I plan, that I hope that this committee goes in.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, I'd like to know, is there a contract in place with the sheriff's department? Because obviously Comet expands outside of KC and CPD. Anything in place with the sheriff's department for security, off-duty security services rendering?
With Richland County Sheriff
Yes.
Department? Yes, I think that's on page 6.
Right.
Yes, it's in the packet.
Okay, so the law enforcement entities that we purchase off-duty hours from. Now, I think that's Chairman Lawson. We're going to have to take a good look at that because we're going to hear back from our law enforcement departments. Staffing levels won't allow for where we want to most likely go with this. I'd like a full list of Lexington County Sheriff's Department, West Columbia, KC, what their staffing levels currently are, and where we would want to go with that. And I know that's all information to be gathered as we move forward, like Chairman Lawson recommended.
A great point.
So if I'm clear, you need us to get a staffing report from these entities?
A snapshot of our expenses, our contract expenses over the past, I don't know how long we've been in place with these law enforcement entities, but I think that would help a lot, and it also would help hand in hand compare before and after services rendered, as Chairman Lawson mentioned. Are their services making a difference to the quality of ridership and safety? Something that we need to determine. I also want to, I guess, make a point, Chairman Lawson. If we could get a general survey or some input from surrounding business owners of these areas that we recognize as possibly some security issues happen, just to make sure that we are servicing the area in the proper manner. I mean, we talk about taxpayer dollars. Goodness knows our businesses are large payers into the tax base. So operating to their I guess standards for safety for not only their employees but their customers' clientele. I think is something we need to take into account as we move forward.
Absolutely, and I'm making notes of all of this. So that's a great point. Pam, I am making notes. I will absolutely forward these to you later on to this evening or tomorrow. But great points, everyone. Is there anything else? All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we're gonna move on. I'm gonna move to adjourn this meeting. I know you guys have been patient and working with us. Again, I'll give one last call. Is there anybody else who has anything else to say regarding today's committee meeting?
Let me ask one other question to staff. If a business does reach out to Comet board members about, I guess, issues, where should we tell them to call? Who do they call about that?
The question was if a business is reaching out.
Yeah. So if a business sees issues happening at a Comet transit stop, who do they report it to outside of, law enforcement? Obviously, is probably a call to be made, but for us to track it, is there an office number that is preferred that they reach out to?
The customer service number? Yes, they can use our customer service number. Any call that comes into our customer service department, it's recorded, and then it's sent to the responsible department or individual for them to investigate. And then in some situations, depending on the stop or the area, or if it's Comet Central, we can pull the tape. And then even sometimes, depending on whatever the action is, sometimes even we can pull the video from the actual bus itself. So that's all recorded by our customer experience department. And when it's sent out, they have a certain amount of time to investigate it and follow up with the individual or caller or the business. And staff here, and myself, sometimes I try to monitor those, just kind of, scanning through to see something that stands out, or if we see really an issue, then we can address it in our weekly staff meetings.
Perfect, thank you.
Hey, that's a great point. I'll piggyback off of that. My counterpart brought up a good point. Pam, I would love going forward for us to have some sort of monthly metrics. Obviously, this committee is new, but I would love for us to put together a monthly metric for us to track how many situations or issues that have arisen surrounding comment-related crime. So again, I think if we can have a rolling monthly report included in the packet, we could, as members, assess the situation and make proper adjustments.
Noted.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions before we close out here? All right, so if there are no other questions, I'll entertain adjourning this meeting. I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for your patience today, and we'll see you next meeting.